Hello my friends, welcome to Rain Francis Art. My name is Rain. Today I'm going to show you how to draw this duck with ink pens and graphite pencils. I took a picture of a duck many years ago in color, and I'm going to show you what I do to transfer it into a black and white photo so that I can see the values and show you what I do to create this duck. So let's begin. This is what I'll be using for today's drawing. I have a drawing pad here. It's a small one. This is what it is. It's a visual journal, Bristol-Smooth, and it's a small one. Like I said, it's 5.5 inches by 8 inches, and it's a 100-pound smooth surface Bristol visual journal by Strathmore. I love these visual journals. They're great. So I've got it turned so that it's longer left to right, and I've basically drawn out my duck. And this is a photo of the duck. It's my photo, so I can show it. I took this, oh my gosh, many years ago in the winter when I was visiting a duck pond, and this beautiful drake was there, and look at the colors on him. And this would make a good drawing to do if you wanted to use coloring pencils or maybe watercolors or acrylic. But today I've decided I want to play with my graphite pencils and my ink pens. So this is what I did. I went into my Photoshop software and I desaturated. I took all the color out to make this a black and white image so that I could see all of the values and all of the different, when I say values, those are the shades of black and white on the grayscale. So as you can see, it's very obvious where there's some black, where there's some white, where's dark gray, light gray, etc., etc. But I'm just having fun with this today. The last couple of months have been crazy for me. I'll talk about that after. Anyway, I've got my set of graphite pencils all the way from HB. I've got 2B, 4B, and I've got this one's called an extra black, which is probably the equivalent of a 6B. I also have my pigment liner, fine liner markers, and these go from 0.05 millimeter tips to 0.8 millimeter tips. And the higher the number of the tip just means more ink comes out, so it's a little darker. And the 0.05 is the smallest tip, so it comes out a little finer. I've got some erasers, some mechanical erasers. This is a Tombow mono eraser. It's very thin at the end, as you can see. It's a small eraser. This is for highlighting and detail at the end. And this is a Factus mechanical eraser, and it's a little thicker. I've also got this big eraser in case I need it. I have some paper towel here. I've got a piece of wax paper that I put down so that I don't smudge my hand on here. I've got some blending tools. I mostly for graphite use this soft foam blender. It's a foam tip blender, and it works really well for graphite. I don't know if I'm going to use any other blenders, but I'll list everything in the description below when I'm done. And I have this dollar store paintbrush that I use to just, get the dust and stuff off my canvas. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at my black and white photo, and I'm deciding what I want to do. And usually with the ink and graphite drawings that I do, I start by outlining with marker, and I have a 0.8 marker right now. So I'm going to just go ahead and start outlining the duck. And if you like, in the description below, I'll leave links to the color photo, the black and white photo, and the stencil, just so you can see it. So I'm going to outline everything that I drew in pencil. And that's your stencil, basically. And if you want to use my stencil, you can definitely download it and print it. And I do have a video on how to transfer your stencil onto your canvas, so I'll link that in the cards above and in the description below. I just made a really basic duck stencil here. There's really no detail whatsoever. I put in some lines here, sort of as guides to show me where the different values will be, the different shades of black, white, and gray, that is. All right, so I've outlined my stencil here. Now I'm going to take my graphite pencils and I'm going to start to color everything in. So my lightest shade of graphite is HB. And I can see by looking at the photo that the beak is very light. So I'm just going to color that in with some HB. And another light area of the duck is underneath the belly here. So I'm just going to color all of that in with HB too. It sounds funny when I say color it in because it's black and white. It is, gray is a color, but I don't know, I always associate color with non-black and white colors. Looking at my photo again, we've got parts of the feet that are light. And I've provided you with the black and white, so you know, you can look at it and decide what you want, what shading you want to use. If you really study the photo, you can see where the lighter parts are. Like this part here is completely white, so I'm going to try not to get any graphite or marker in there. The great thing about graphite, though, is that you can erase it. Now, just to give me a little bit of a reference here, I'm going to take my darkest graphite, which is, it's called extra black, but like I said, it's the equivalent of a 6B. And I'm going to go around the duck here on his head. I was almost going to say his or her, but we know it's a drake. And I'm filling in that black here. And when you're using pencils, and this goes for coloring pencils or graphite pencils or charcoal pencils, turn your pencil once in a while. Because if you don't turn your pencil, you're going to wear it down all on one side and you're going to have to sharpen it more often. And you want to keep your art supplies as long as you can. Let's try to be frugal, right? I'm just looking at my reference photo and I'm seeing that this area here is much darker. And this is all going to be blended after, so. And the back of his head, all around the top here, there's dark areas. And it comes all the way down his neck. Even through that white area. Okay, and now down here we've got a very, very dark area. Now, my friends, I am not trying to copy the photo exactly. I'm not trying to be ultra realistic here. I'm just using it as a reference because I just felt like relaxing and doing a little drawing today. Okay, I drew these reference points for myself. Now I know why. Because this whole area here, I think under here, all of this is really dark black. Yep. This whole area in here is dark. Yeah, I can't believe how busy I've been lately. I've hardly had any time to sit down and do some art. I did a lot of videos in July in preparation for August so that I could make sure I had some some videos for my channel, and I don't think I've sat down. Right now it's the first week of September. I haven't sat down to do any art at all in over a month. Everything that I've put on my channel was all done in preparation, like I said, for the month ahead, because I knew August was going to be crazy for me. So it feels really good to just relax here and do some art. Now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to actually make the duck's head here, the part where I filled in that dark color. I'm going to make it a little darker. I'm turning my pencil once in a while, and you should too. I hope you follow along with this. You know, what I'm doing now is applying a second layer of graphite. And all that means is that I'm coloring it in a second time. I'll do up here too. Let's give that a second layer, because that's really, really a dark area. There are some areas inside here that are quite dark as well. So I'm just going to go in and apply that really dark black. And I'm going to do a second layer as well while I'm here. My dog is right beside me and she's moving around a bit, so if you hear some scraping and scratching and bumping and jumping, that's Raven. My little Rottweiler trying to get comfy. We just got her 4 months ago. Actually, was it 4 months ago? Maybe 3 months ago. Time is flying. Oh my goodness. Time is flying. Okay, so that's a good start. I'm just going to brush off some of that graphite dust there. Now, if I take a look again at my photo, I have sort of, this is a very black area here, but around the head and on some parts of the wing, there is like a dark gray. So what I'm going to do is take my 4B, that's a 4B, and I'm going to fill this area in here. And you can see the difference already, I think, between that extra black, which is, like I said, the equivalent of a 6B, and this 4B here. I'm filling in the entire duck's head. That's all going to be blended in. Right now it might look kind of funny, but it's all going to be blended in. All right? And even I could even put in the second layer if I wanted to right now. And even with the second layer, you can see the difference between the extra black and the 4B. All right, so now I'm going to go on the top of the wing here. I'm going to fill that in all the way down to the bottom here. I'm turning my pencil once in a while, and I'm really not pressing down very hard. You don't have to, because you can always blend and then add more and blend again. Layers, that's what you're looking for. Okay, so let's see. The belly was here. We've got the wing here. This is the wing right here. Right here is the wing, this area here. And it's darker on the bottom. And over here. Okay, and his little foot down there is a little darker, and so is this area here. I don't mind that I'm going outside the lines, because usually at the end what I do is I take my HB and I go all over for the background. Now there's this area here that's quite dark actually. It's not as dark as the extra black, but it's a little darker than the 4B. So here, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll just do one layer of the extra black right down here. It's still going to be darker than the 4B, or it should be. And I just realized that I covered up. I'm taking my mechanical eraser and I'm going to just erase here, because that is supposed to remain white. So let's get rid of that graphite right away. Okay. Back to the extra black. Can you hear the squirrel? I have my windows open today, so I can really hear what's going on outside. I'm just going to try to erase some more of that graphite. There we go. Oops. Okay. Now that area is going to remain white. That's all right. We've got a little bit of an area here to remain white, but I'm going to take my very dark color again, and I'm going to make this area dark right here. And I'm going right in and putting on a second layer because I want it to be very dark. Now I've got my 2B color. And for those of you who don't know, the B stands for black. And the higher the number, the darker the black, the softer the graphite, so it comes out darker. And HB stands for hard black. So that's a very hard graphite pencil. So I've got my 2B here, and I'm going to go over this entire wing area with the 2B. Turning my pencil. This is a good exercise in trying to figure out values, you know. It may not be as glamorous as some of my other drawings, but this is good. I like to figure out values on things. Now we've got an area here, the back of the feathers here, a little dark, and just this area here. Are you okay, Raven? I'm going to take my HB, which is my lightest graphite, hard black, and fill that in right there. Just one little layer and one little layer here. Actually, no. I'm sorry. That should remain white. There we go. My dog distracted me a little bit there. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that soft foam. Soft is the name, the brand, S-O-F-F-T. It's a foam blender. And I'm going to start with my lightest areas. The HB area. See how nicely that blends? I really, really like the soft foam blender for graphite. Let's get that beak. And remember what I said, I don't mind if it goes outside because I'm going back in later with some HB. All right, now let's get in here. Wherever you see the lightest colors, blend those in first. So now we can go and do the wing. I'm not pressing very hard, by the way. Okay, up here. Let's do the little feet in this area here. Now we can basically just blend everywhere. I just like to save the darkest areas for the last. I'm trying not to get any graphite into that little collar. It's interesting because I draw a lot of Looney Tunes, and Daffy Duck has a collar like that too, and it's all white. Just reminding me of Daffy Duck right now. Alright, well this is all blended. And let's get rid of that. Oh, there's some area here that I didn't blend. I'm just going over the whole thing now in case I forgot some areas. Except for that collar, I'm trying to keep that as white as I can. And I did get some graphite into the eye, but that's okay because later we can go and erase that because the eyeball is pretty white. Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now I'm going to add a little bit of detail. I'm going to take my 0.8 fine liner pen and I'm going to start with the beak. I'm just going to look at the reference photo and just put in some detail here and there. And you can do whatever you want with this. I mean, you can leave it the way it is, or you can do what I'm doing and add some detail. Just playing around with it a little bit, you know. And I might go around and outline part of the head here. Definitely want to make that eye a little more prominent. Now this eye, actually I'm going to take my finest tip marker, which is a 0.05. Oops, sorry, that's upside down and probably not in focus. Because there is a spot, there are 2 spots on the duck's eye that are white. I'm going to outline them. And there's a spot here. That may not be easy for you to see. But now I'm going to take my 0.8 and I'm going to actually fill in everywhere but those 2 little circles that I want to keep white. Can you see that? There's just the tiniest little circles that I wanted to keep white. And later I'll go with my eraser to try to see if I can make them a little whiter. Now I'm going to take, let's take a 0.3 tip. And I'm going to just add a little bit of texture. Just a little texture to the areas that are really, really supposed to be darker. And I'm not doing anything special. I'm just kind of drawing in some lines to give it a little texture, and I'm going in the shape of the head, you know, so this would be coming down a little bit here. Just those areas that should be a little darker. Okay, and I'm going to put in a little bit of detail here, just some scratching, just like that. And this white collar here, it's not, you know, perfectly straight. I'm putting a little scratching here. And remember over here we put that extra black? Let's put a little scratching here too. Just remember, go with the shape of the head. Just for a little bit of detail, that's all. Maybe a little more here. This area is a little bigger on the photo. There we go. We can go all the way down the neck. And down the chest as well. I'm just scratching around so that it's not, you know, I don't want to have really dark outlines, you know. I just want to make it a little softer, and that's how you can soften up your outline. Just put a little scratches in there. Right here too, there's a little bit of a difference in color. And I'm going around and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just putting little scratches. Just for texture. Okay? And if we look at the reference photo, there are some little dots of white in here, but instead of white, what I'm going to do is take my darkest 0.8 and I'm going to go in and put little dots of black. See, this is where you can have a little bit of creative license. You don't have to follow it exactly. You're giving texture to the photo, to the drawing right now, and you're making it kind of your own. All right? All right, so now this part here was very, very dark as well. So I'm going to take that 0.8, the darkest one I have. That's not it. Where is it? Here we go, 0.8. And I'm going with what I think would be the direction of the feathers. And again, I'm just doing a little bit of scratching. I love mixing ink and graphite together. I think it looks really nice and it goes very well together. Now this area here is very, very dark. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually coloring this in a little more than I would have here with the scratches. I'm putting in a little, let me move this, it's annoying. Making that really kind of very dark. Because it is quite dark here. And it comes out like that. There's a few little feathers. I feel like I want to make this a little darker too. And the eye as well. Just outline that eye again. Okay, so now I'm going to take a 0.5 fine liner, and all around this area here I'm going to add small little scratches. Okay, and also just a little bit on the outline here, just some scratches to make that really dark outline a little softer. I'm probably going to do that throughout the whole duck here. And I just want to mention, I know my lighting just changed. I decided not to put my bright lights on today. And unfortunately, when the sun goes into the clouds, I lose a little bit of light, but I hope that doesn't bother you too much. Sometimes the bright lights give me headaches. So I wanted to be careful because I've been under so much stress. All right, now here, what I can do is I can actually put the outline of the wing. There we go. And we've got some more outlines here. All right, now under here, I'm thinking of taking my extra black graphite and just putting in some graphite scratches here. And I'm going to blend that, and I want to see what that looks like. Because it is supposed to be lighter, but I was just hoping to give it a little bit of texture. Just want to see what that looks like when I blend it. I'm going to use that soft foam. It just gives it a little bit of texture. It's still pretty light, but it gives it some texture, so that's all right. I'm okay with that. Now I want to take one of my lighter markers, 0.05, the finest tip, and just kind of go, I'm doing little circles, little bitty circles going around the duck's feet here. I am just totally making this up as I go, by the way. I just don't like those stark black outlines. I like to soften them all up. Okay, while I have it here, I'm going to put in some shading here. Not shading, some texture here. And a little bit under here. Okay. I'm going to go in with my little Tombow mono eraser. Make sure there's no graphite in here. That should be white. The eyeballs should be white here too. Just erasing that. There's this area here that is completely white. And there's a small area here that's white as well. I'm losing my voice. Okay, and then we've got some areas in the wing. See how that works with the eraser? I love it. Okay. I'm just gonna brush those bits off a little bit. I feel like I want to do a little more, just a little more. At the base of the wing here, I'm going to add the darkest graphite that I have, which is the extra black. And in some areas here above where I put the eraser lines, I'm going to put some more of that black. Okay, I may have to erase again, but let's do this. Blend all that in. And I'm going to take my dark 0.8 pen, and I'm going to go over some of the wing here. I'm just giving the illusion of layers of feathers here. Okay. I'm pretty happy with most of it. What I'm not happy with is the belly, and I'm not quite sure what to do with that. So I'm going to play around a little bit. I'm going to grab my 2B and fill all of that in, and then blend it and see what it looks like. I'm going to be careful not to get graphite into that area that I want to stay white. Okay, let's just blend that in, see what happens. I think I'm going to do what I did here. I'm going to take the 0.05, my finest tip marker, and I'm going to do little scratches, and then I'm going to put some dots, maybe, we'll see, just little scratches. I hope you can see what I'm doing. My hand might be in the way. I have to stop the recording once in a while because my phone automatically stops recording, and I haven't figured out the exact time yet, but it's anywhere from 28 minutes to 32 minutes, so I could be going on, and then all of a sudden the phone decides to stop and restart, and you could miss, 30 seconds of what I've just said, so I'm keeping a real eye on that. There's that squirrel again. He's upset about something. I'm glad I decided to do this. It's giving it a little more texture down there instead of just being a lump of 2B graphite. Okay, that's good. I don't have to put any dots there. I think I like it the way it is. I just want to look at the feet, because they look a little, I don't know. They don't look like they need a little work, let's just say that. I'm still using the 0.05, by the way. There's a little shadow here. Okay, I'm good with that. Now let's see, what do I want to do? I've got a little bit of a desire to make the beak a little darker in some spots. Maybe here and right here and just under here. Yes, I like that better. Okay, now I'm taking my 0.8 marker and I'm going to put a few dots here and here, just to give it a little bit of interest. It's very dark here. There's a little more shadow on that foot. And these look funny coming out here. I'm just going to do this to make it look like we've got more feathers coming out. And I'm going to outline that nostril a little more. There we go. Last but not least, I'm going to add some more. See what I did here with the 0.05? That's the lightest, the finest tip marker I have. I'm going to do the same thing on the head because I feel it needs it now. And I'm going in the direction of where I think the feathers would be going. There, I think that finishes it up nicely. Though now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to overdo it, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm going to do the same thing along the wings. Just very lightly scratching in with that 0.05. And it's super light. The tip is very, very small, so you don't get much ink coming out of that. But I think it'll give it a nice little texture instead of it being only graphite. Sometimes I tend to overdo it. I hope I'm not overdoing it here. I think it's going to look better though. And I'm going in the direction, like I said before, of where I think the feathers would be going. I think that was a good decision to make. A very good decision. I think it's giving it a lot of nice texture. Okay, well, my friends, I think I'm pretty satisfied with this. So now I'm going to do what I normally do is I take my HB and I'm holding it on the side and I'm gently, and I'm turning my pencil, gently adding pigment to my page. Because I'm somebody who likes background color. I don't like a white stark background unless it's, you know, a Looney Tune or something that does have a white background. And I want to show you a tip. You see my thumb? It's stopping the pen or the pencil from going off the side of my page. That's just a little tip. If you don't want to like fight with the end of the page and you keep going off or something. I'm turning my pencil. Let me start up here. I don't want to press too hard because the HB is a hard pencil. It's an HB hard black. And sometimes if you draw lines with an HB, even if you blend it, you can kind of see your lines. And I don't want to be able to see my lines in this. I want it to be a soft little background. Okay, so now I'm going to just take that soft foam blender and start blending. I'm going to be careful because I don't want to get any color or any graphite into the eye of the duck, into the necktie that I'm calling it, the ring around the neck, or into these areas here. So just going to be real careful. And if you have these foam blenders, they're awesome. I use them mostly for graphite. I don't know what that is there. Okay. Don't press hard on them because they will break. If necessary, go over it again one way and then another way, but don't press down hard because these aren't cheap. All right, got my little background going on there. I don't know what this is. There's a little like, I'm gonna try to erase that and see what that is. I don't know what that was. I'll blend that in again. Could have been on the page, you know, sometimes when you, if you press down too hard on the page before, it could actually damage this page underneath, so. Okay, let me wipe that off. I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm just going to go and see if there's anywhere that I want to highlight. I've got my little Tombow mono eraser here. Maybe just a little area on the beak. There's a little few lines here. Maybe under, on top of this area here. There are some white areas, you know, that are they sort of pop in and out. This area down here is a little lighter. Just going to scratch in that eraser. This is okay here. Just putting in a few highlights here and there on the foot as well. There's a little spot here. All right. Well, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed this today. It was just a quick little drawing to try to relax, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said, feel free to download the photos and the stencil that I will be linking in the description below. And I have a list of supplies in the description below too, so if you want to follow along, you don't need too many supplies. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to see all of my videos as I upload them, don't forget to hit the notification bell and click on all. And leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. How's your life going? Is it hectic for you? What do you do to relax? How do you relax yourself and balance yourself in when you're having a really overwhelmingly busy life? You have to force yourself sometimes to make time to relax and just to do something that makes you, you know, forget about everything that's going on around you and to live in the moment and just concentrate on what you're doing and have fun. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rain Francis Art. Bye.